guys, welcome back to yet another installment of PURA VIDA, and today the cigar I'm going to review today, I've gotten many requests before this to review the cigar. I've reviewed one of the cigars from this brand before, but what am I talking about? I'm talking about Davidoff. Yes, one of the biggest names in cigars in the whole wide world. So what are we reviewing today? None other than the Davidoff Signature 2000. Coming in at a length of 5 inches long by a 43 ring gauge, this cigar features tobacco on the wrapper, an Ecuadorian Connecticut. In the binder, an Ecuadorian hybrid, which just basically means that tobacco that has been produced by Davidoff through all of these different cultivation methods. And the filler is a Dominican Republic filler. Foot looks well packed, but there's nice ample space between the leaves, the folds. The cap is absolutely immaculate, no seams whatsoever. You just see lines. You can't feel anything here. If you notice on the wrapper, actually, it's very smooth to the touch, but it's not very oily. And as always, the classic Davidoff band. Very simple, very elegant. So Davidoff is one of the biggest names, as I mentioned earlier, in the world of tobacco. But one of the questions that I often get asked is, why is Davidoff so expensive? Yes, that is a question that's on everyone's mind. Well, in order to understand that, we have to go back in history, like way back in history, to the founder of Davidoff, Zeno Davidoff, who was born, if I'm not mistaken, in 1936 or 1934. And he passed away in 1994, so that's a very long and fruitful life right there. Now, he had a tobacco shop in Switzerland, and he was, by that point, after decades in the industry, known as the king of tobacco. Now, somewhere along the line, he collaborated with the good folks from Cuba, and yes, Davidoff's back then used to have tobacco from Cuba itself. But in 1991, Zeno Davidoff, who is a stickler for quality, said no more. He did not like the flavor profile, he did not like the quality that was coming from Cuba, and that was the end of it. The story is that he actually burned down all of the stock that came from Cuba just because he was so unhappy with it. So from 1991 onwards, Davidoff had all of its tobacco coming from the Dominican Republic. Now, what makes Davidoff cigars special is the fact that it uses Piloto Dominicano. What is that exactly? Well, Piloto Dominicano can find its origin from Cuba itself. Seeds of Cuban tobacco that were replanted in Dominica that have gotten the terroir of the Dominican tobacco itself. That's what makes them expensive, because Dominica is a very small country and there isn't much space, so it's in high demand, and Davidoff, being a bigger brand, obviously commands some of the best quality Piloto Dominicano itself. Another reason why it's so expensive, if you go back in the history, it's so long. It's almost looking like a designer brand, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, the likes of that. There's that pedigree and heritage attached to the Davidoff name itself. So, Davidoff has been around, lots of people love it. We're going to find out what it tastes like today, but I just want to show you guys something. If you look, this is the box that the cigar comes in, and if you look at it, you will see this little marker over here. 5 dots right there. Now, these usually represent the strength of the cigar itself. So if you look here, it's blacked out 1.5. This is essentially a very mild cigar. So just a little note, if you're looking for Davidoffs next time, and if you're in your cigar shop or even looking in a humidor and you see the box, look out for this if you want to see the strength of the cigar. Now, when it comes to the flavor profile, there's only one way to find out. Let's cut and light the cigar. Alright, so we are in the first third of the cigar, and one thing I gotta note, look at the construction on this, like a stack of dimes. Beautiful ash right there. Burn line is razor sharp, and that's one of the hallmarks of Davidoff, I would say. It's got great construction, brilliant construction. If you held on to the cigar, you'll notice it's very lightly packed, because it's rolled not too tight. And one of the consequences of that is that the cigar burns really quickly. This is just 20 minutes into the cigar itself. On the flavor note, this is signature Davidoff. a very strong cedar wood taste to it, very dominated by wood, but it's clean and it's clear. On the finish, you get another signature of Davidoff, that creaminess. It's very thick, it's very lush, and just on the tail end of the finish, you get this lovely sweetness, like like whipped cream, something like that. Very uncomplicated flavor profile, and I must be honest, I don't do too many Davidoff reviews because it's not one of the flavor profiles that I sort of move towards. It's a very light sort of kick to it, very light, and the flavor notes are also very light as well. Alright, so we are halfway into the cigar. As you can see, it's an absolute smoke machine for a rather small cigar. Flavor notes on the palate, you get one very clear note, and that is cedar wood. From the start until now, I'm getting a very strong woodiness, still very clean, still very clear, but you also get that slight sweetness on the finish. The creaminess comes on and off. The smoke is thick, but it's not heavy. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's the difference between drinking a glass of water and drinking a glass of milk. Water is lighter than milk, that feeling you get on your tongue. So that's exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the smoke's presence in your mouth as well. Flavor notes, like I mentioned earlier, Davidoff, that's the one signature flavor that it has. It is very mild, no strength whatsoever. So a lot of people like to make this their morning cigar or daytime cigar because it's not heavy, it's not complicated. Alright, so you're coming to the end of the cigar when I break the toothpick out. So alright, all the way to the end, from the get-go itself, the cigar was producing very distinct, very clear woody notes with a nice sort of creamy aspect on the finish. Towards the end of the cigar, the woody notes really announced their presence, and the sort of creaminess dies out a little. You lose the sweetness as well. From start to end, a straight shooter, one-dimensional, I would say. And I would recommend pairing Davidoff cigars with something that has cream or milk in it, like a latte, a cappuccino, or even tea with milk as well. And I would recommend giving a punch cut, because that concentrates and focuses the already light flavor onto your flavor palette itself. I'm going to be straight up, Davidoff cigars are not one of my favorites, simply because for the price point, you can find a lot more cigars that have a whole lot more of flavor and complexity to it for a fraction of the price. But that's just my opinion. If you enjoy Davidoffs, they make a lovely daytime smoke. Or if you're in a meeting or conference, you want something that's not too strong, Davidoff's going to be your choice. If you've got the cash and you want to splurge, Davidoff is the way to go as well. But if you're looking for something with more complexity, something that's going to really give you a bang for your buck, there's a whole load more out there that you can go for. But if you still want to try Davidoff, then hit the link below and get one for yourself. So that's all the time I have today with the Davidoff Signature 2000. Till next time, till then, take care, bye bye, and remember, stay smoky.